And now, lastly, it has come. It is now time for Dungeon Debate!
Yes.
We gotta play the Mortal Kombat theme song while this goes on.
Kombat.
Alright,
Okay.
the Dungeon Debate. Jake over here we will be debating, basically. Jake takes the side of already prepared
Yeah, the debate is pre-written adventures versus homebrew adventures.
And I'm with the homebrew.
Yeah, Ethan's doing homebrew. I'm defending pre-written adventures. The pro adventures, you could call it. Okay. So let's make this debate concise and
quick.
Well, yeah, as quick as it needs to be. We're not going to rush
Yes.
it. Okay. So, let me just start. If you want a high quality, complex, and satisfying adventure with plot twists, foreshadowing, and cohesiveness, then I believe a pre-written adventure is the easiest way to get to it.
And I know this is part of a debate which makes it not fun, but I do agree with that.
Oh, sweet.
Because
I win.
No, because that's like literally like that's the whole point of them. Is like, here, if you want a guaranteed good campaign, take this. But the one major flaw about it is when you do it, you can't really do it again, right? You can't switch things up.
Well, you can't do anything again.
Well, yeah, but then it's not fun because then you know what's going to happen, right?
Well, that would be the same if you repeated a homebrew campaign.
Use. Well, no, but you can switch it around a bit with the homebrew campaign. Like, you can take a whole separate parts. Like, you had this choice, but like now you do this choice, and the story goes in a whole complete different direction. See, like homebrew, like they're probably, hopefully, they're as good or even better than like pre-written, which is not really rare. Which is pretty rare. But like homebrews are still super fun, like personally. But like just homebrew literally is all about the like that's what the game was meant to be, like your imagination.
I'm missing your point.
D&D has all these rules. Homebrew, you can do literally anything with it. While if you have a pre-written adventure, it's like this is what you get. Can't change anything. But
Well,
if
you can.
want like but there isn't pre-written adventures for everything. Like, what if you want, like, I want a Kraken to fight a dragon, you know, but that would never happen.
But that's subjective what you want. So I think, like, when you are, like, what makes a campaign good is not about the theme or anything, because that's subjective to who likes what. So it's really more about the objective aspects of a campaign that make it high quality. And so that's, like, how cohesive is it? Like, is there foreshadowing that leads to like these big reveals that are like, whoa, I didn't even realize how in depth that was, or stuff like that, where it's like it's these kind of long term planning things that make campaigns really rich, as well as making sure there's a mixture of different types of things. There's puzzles, there's combat.
I mean, you can still have that in a homebrew.
You can, but it's a lot of work to make sure, because DMs a lot of times I think get caught up in what they like. So like they will make like, oh man, I just made this really rich village. Like I like a lot of world building, so I like to make cool cultures and like subtle differences in cultures and stuff like that. But what I might be forgetting something completely also important, completely equally important that a player may like that I'm forgetting about. But that's just because I don't have time as a homebrew person to think of literally every possibility right now.
But that's why you like talk with your players, because that's a very important thing.
Well, you talk with them and you figure out what they want, but every session, you can just it's just human error. Like your mind when you're coming up with your ideas will be focused on those ideas and might forget things, right? Like it just like you may be focusing on this encounter and then you don't focus as much on the plot. And so once you have this whole campaign and if you were to look back at it, you might notice that you totally like the plot wasn't that good. Like you put a lot of effort into each encounter and you had some really good fights, but overall the plot just wasn't that good just because your brain can only handle so much. You can only prep so many things, right? You're not a pro.
Well, I mean that's true, but like that kind of like when you talk about human error, that also goes with like the pro, I guess. Like for example, the adventure Horde of the Dragon Queen. A lot of people thought that was a poor adventure. Like people said it wasn't really that good.
I haven't played it, so I wouldn't know. But
I mean, I haven't played it either. But when I literally bought the book, they said you shouldn't get that one. I was like, why?
I'm pretty sure, isn't it just really hard?
That was one part, but they said like it wasn't exciting. Like,
okay.
You know,
well, I mean, sure, that can't happen.
But also like stuff didn't really happen. It's like a dragon attacks.
But what percentage of pre-written adventures aren't exciting, and what percentage of homebrew adventures are exciting? I would say pre-written adventures, on average, have a higher bar of quality. Like you just know you're gonna get something that's pretty good.
I mean that's true, but like kind of like what you said, like you want, everyone wants something out of like human error, like you won't get, like not every player will be satisfied. That kind of goes the same with like pre-written. Like there was this one which was all about like ice and stuff, but like I was like, where's like I want to fight something like I forget which one it was called. It had like an ice queen, but like I thought the main boss is kind of like, she's like a ice deity.
Well, again,
and I didn't really find it. But
that's
everyone's taste.
That's your subjective opinion, which I don't think matters because someone else might really like that, and so it just cancels out.
But that kind of goes through the same with the homebrew. You might have.
That's why I'm saying it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter, like because the campaign's going to be about something. Some people are going to like it. Some people won't, based off of the theme. Period. It doesn't matter if it's homebrew or pre-written. That's not what makes something good. It's got to be these other objective qualities, like I was saying.
Well, yeah, but homebrew can have those things, though.
But so can a pre-written adventure. They can.
They can, but like what I'm saying is, you can just the fact that homebrew technically, you can take a pre-written adventure, change a little bit of things, and that's technically homebrew. Like
you're saying
like it's just adding your own ideas, and that's what D&D wants you to do. It's saying like you can use these rules that you want because they're easier to make. But if you want, like for example, I do clashes. Like I think that's a very cool idea. Like when you and the boss clash swords, and you're like pushing for like power, but then you do like you like he chops up your leg or you cut his eye out like that. That's like sick. Instead of just rolling, you got like there's like different scenarios. Or like, major plots. Like I don't think there's like a horror story yet that the Wizards of the West Coast made.
Yeah, you're saying there's more range of options because they're all
You can literally
options.
do whatever you want with homebrew, which I think is just
you can.
It's so good. And like the pre-runs, I am not saying they're horrible. They're very good. It's just pre-runs like you can't, like pre-runs don't last forever, I guess. You can always make a homebrew, but like pre-runs are great, but once you play it, you played it.
Right.
Yes, you could go with like a different strategy, but like you played it. It's like playing a video game, like the story mode over and over again.
All right, so I'm gonna respond. I think you made two big points in that monologue, and the first one is that you were talking about how you can make your own rules in homebrew, and I think you can do that in pre-written too. Like if you want to clash in pre-written, when they make modules, they are D&D players. They understand that players are free-spirited and that the DM will have to improvise to some extent. They also know that D&D is a game that you mix around the rules. So it's made to incorporate some improvisation and also whatever rules you want. Like not whatever rules you want, but if you were to make clashing, it would not affect how you play.
But that's technically making that story homebrew then.
No, you are slightly. I don't think that. I don't think that counts.
But the fact that you use homebrew just shows how powerful it is.
I don't think if under that definition there is a pre-written adventure doesn't exist because when a DM no DM will play a pre-written adventure the same as another. They're all different.
Well, I mean, unless you read the book by its book, but then that's boring. It's like not cool. Like a
no, you can't. Like you have to interpret it somehow, and you have to. There's world around the skeleton it gives you that you have to fill in. You can't. It's like Mad Libs. You know what I mean?
Oh,
you can't. The book is not a VR where it's like it literally generates everything. You know what I mean? You have to generate stuff
That
too.
would be sick.
You have to make the NPC at this random spot that they went to. You know, you have to do that stuff. So you still have homebrew. I think it just means your plot and your encounters are dictated by the book, not necessarily every little aspect. Your second point you mentioned was that homebrews can be, they're like open to the imagination, and they have no time, they have no end, right? They can go on forever. So I would say that homebrew and pre-written adventures are similar to the analogy of homebrew being you like playing with action figures. And you're like creating a little story, like, oh, he fights him, and it's endless, and it's completely imaginary, and you're fighting. Well, a pre-run adventure would be like watching the Lord of the Rings series, where you have this like intricate, awesome, epic adventure that does end, and when you run out, it runs out. And it's also not open to the imagination. It gives you exactly what it is, but clearly there's a big.
Well, that's a little different. I mean, that is it? Action. Yeah, it is. It is because. I mean, I don't think, like, I've played some homebrews that I would probably like a lot more than, like, other pre-written adventures. So, like, of course, everyone would be like, Lord of the Rings beats...
But that's subjective. I think the reason would be it's because it's subjective. You wouldn't say, I like the homebrew one because, oh, man, my local high school DM... He did a great job with the plot. It was way better than the professional. I don't think you would say that. It would probably just be for other reasons.
Well, yeah, but like, I mean, that's a little extreme. It's like, one, there's a movie. Two, you know, it's like action figures. Like you barely.
No, you have your little Legolas.
Well, technically,
action figure, and he can shoot any kind of arrow you can think of. It's amazing. But in Lord of the Rings movie, he only shoots the regular ones.
See, that's boring, Jake. See, I want Legolas to, like, actually pull out a Glock.
And with action figures, you can. And with your homebrew, like, you can.
The orcs charge in, Legolas like, hey, dude. Pulls out, like, a Glock.
Yeah, or he just shoots his arrows sideways. Anyway.
Yeah, but, like, basically what I'm saying is, like, you can have homebrew adventures that are equally par or even maybe better than pre-written. Like pre-written, they're of course professional.
You can.
So like 80% of the time, they're better than a homebrew.
But it's a million times more work to get your campaign, your homebrew campaign, to that level than just buying one and reading it.
Yeah, that's another thing.
There's so many factors.
They're expensive as hell. $50 a book.
But the books are full campaigns. Those can last years.
$50 a book. You play it once and then it's gone.
Years. They're not $50 always. They're like $30.
No, I got some that were $50.
Yeah, ripped off.
But then I went to Amazon Prime. It's good, $30. But still, it's money. You know, I'm a poor man. What happens if I don't have money? Well, I guess I'm screwed.
But guess what you do get for that money? Time. Because you're not having to prep all this nonsense, so you can go make some money. You can go work.
What? Well, see, the thing is, I multitasked. I did homebrew and worked at the same time. And then I saved money on Chipotle burritos. Then I rethink my actions.
You saved money on Chipotle burritos? How's that work?
Well,
you invested in them? You just hoard them? You'll sell them later. They'll go up in value, I'm sure, as they rot.
As the world ends, guys. If you pay me $50, I'll give you a burrito. But no, what I'm saying is that they're amazing, but they're also expensive. So some people out there, like maybe there's some younglings out there, or maybe there's some old people that don't have money. You know, maybe you're trying to, save money, and spending $30 to $50 on a story that yes is amazing and it's great, but also like you do it once and then you kind of like sit there, you're like, well.
So you've heard of Gordon Ramsay, right?
Yes.
Right, so he's like pro chef. He's got his big restaurants and everything.
Yes.
So a pre-written adventure would be like a Gordon Ramsay restaurant. Really expensive, but really high quality. While a homebrew would be like McDonald's. So sure, it's really cheap, and they're all over the place. Like you have no you don't.
Wait, does Gordon Ramsay have a rival?
I don't know, but my point is, which one is better, Gordon Ramsay's restaurant or McDonald's?
But I
think everyone would be what kind of question is that?
But the thing is, the McDonald's or the homebrew can have the potential of outclassing Gordon Ramsay, even though Gordon Ramsay is a god tier chef.
You think the McDonald's chef has a chance of outclassing Gordon Ramsay?
The thing is, I don't think there are chefs.
The low preteen flipping burgers.
No, the thing, I don't think there is a chef at McDonald's, number one. Just saying that. Right. Number two, what I'm saying is the homebrew has the potential of being equal to a professionally made adventure.
Yes.
Or even surpass it in different ways, as we talk about, as as we say, oh, that's just your opinion.
But it can't be content. That's not surpassing. That's just different. If it's it's not a dragon queen, it's a Hydra queen. What? Maybe you like that better.
Well, no, but maybe it's a whole different story. There's there's a revenge arc, something that's new, and the story's great. You have all.
But you could have that in a pre-written adventure too, and it would just be professionally done.
So it's just the fact that it's stamped professionally.
Anything you can do in a homebrew, you can do in a pre-written, for the most part, but it's going to be done better.
Not necessarily.
It's just going to be done by a professional,
Well, yeah. So
you can make a burger anywhere, but a professional making a burger will be better.
But what happens if you're better at making burgers than the professional? Which is rare, but some people are.
You might be.
In
which case you are a professional.
So basically,
and that
what
would be a
you're
rare
saying
case.
is you just want the stamp of professionally made, and that's why you think it's better.
If you are a pro yourself, and you want to put in that time, again, making a homebrew, even if you're a pro, is a ton of work. But if a pro does it for you, you save all the time. You just, instead of having to come up with, all right, this is the world. Okay, now we need to get into the intricate little personalities. Now we get into how
that's also
how this is
fun,
a mini plot, how it gets into the big plot. Yeah, it can be fun, but you're not going to be playing much D&D if you're spending all your time doing that. It takes a long time. And so what people normally do is they just don't do that because you don't really have to. You can just focus on a few things. Everyone's happy. But most people, I think, like homebrew better because they are lazy. They're like, oh, homebrew prepping is so much easier. But it's not. It's just because you're not prepping everything.
Who thinks that?
Oh, no. That's not your argument?
No.
Oh, okay. Good. Never mind then.
Well, I feel like it's more lazy to read a already made adventure. You're just being lazy.
Some people believe reading. They're like, reading is hard, so it's harder for me to do pre-written. But thinking of it myself is much easier. But it's easier, but that's because you're not quality checking your ideas. But you have ideas flow in the mind.
Why are you playing D&D if you? Okay, well, for those people, what are you doing?
Why are you playing D&D if you don't want to read?
Yeah.
Because they don't need to read. They can listen to Albert Bros. Stop. You don't need to read.
Yeah, no reading.
All right. Well, but maybe.
Well, you save money. So this is okay. So I'm just gonna end it here now. So homebrew. The biggest thing is if you do put in the time and work into making it good, you can potentially make it as good as the professionals. But the fact that you made it just makes it so much better. That you made your players happy with your story. They're like, man, I made this. I was a god. I crafted every NPC, every encounter, every monster, anything that happened, I created. I was the god, the cosmic god of this world. While you can just flip a book, the guy stamps it, this is professionally made, high class for only the supreme D&D players. You can be that guy who thinks they're all smug because they got all the books. Like me.
I think that's a good argument.
That's a good argument.
My closing statement is one sentence. The pros are pros for a reason.
All right.
Okay.
Text down in the comments below who won. Thank you for listening to the episode of the Hydra.
Yeah, long episode, but hey. Hydras are
sick. They're sick.
All right, anyway. This has been Albert Bros episode something. And
7, I believe.
I don't know. Who knows? And tell us who you think won the debate in the comments.
If you don't choose me, you're weird.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
In the Forgotten Realms.
In the Forgotten Realms.
Goodbye.
Peace out.